Last question. I'm going to throw it out to all of you because all of you are in management positions and work with people. I am, producing some fantastic candidates out of our graduate program every year, working in this space. That's my opinion. That's how we feel. What's some advice? What one piece of advice would you give someone emerging from graduate school, whether it's information management studies, LIS programs? What do you think newly minted graduates need to be focused on, say, between now and the next 5 years, which is about as far as we can even pretend to project? So I'll start with Bryon. Any advice that burgeoning ontologists should know right now?
So I think, kind of framing that as like, burgeoning ontologists, folks are kind of like, new to the field with kind of a fresh, education, academic kind of background to them. I guess my advice, and this is probably going to show my slant coming as a technologist, from a technologist angle on this, but I would say, get some experience putting those ontologies into action, whether that's by learning some of the technology yourself, or working try to find projects that have a heavy bias toward shipping software and getting things out there. Because as much as I think we need to kind of push hard on technologists to understand the value of ontology, part of I think we also need to be wary that ontology has a bad rap as a practice of being something that can like let folks go ahead in the clouds, be very kind of academically ivory tower minded, and not be focused on shipping things and getting things into the real world to be utilized. So I guess that'd be my advice. Is I think the best way to kind of make an impact here is to show that this stuff can be done in an agile, iterative fashion with a bias toward actually getting real software, real functionality in the world for real use.
Yeah, not necessarily get rid of or dispose of the philosophical background of ontology, but integrate it more with technology and use the combination.
Totally. And I think there's a real art to, I think, again, ontologies get a bad rap for saying like, well, first we have to solve everything and have a completely logically consistent view of everything that we might ever discuss. And then we can start maybe thinking about how we might apply this, right? And I know that is hyperbole, and that's not, but I think, yes, it's, leverage those philosophical underpinnings, that kind of deep understanding of how things logically hang together, and the fact that you're fundamentally working in this open world model to be like, we're never going to know everything. We're never going to reflect all that we have all the true facts, kind of by definition. Let's embrace that fully and say, let's focus on what needs to be defined to make some tangible forward progress right now today, get that out in the world, and leave space philosophically for us to fill in the gaps as we build a more comprehensive picture, which is part of the art that I'm sure you teach your students, but I think, marrying that to kind of the drive in the industry, the drive in the real world to get these things into production and delivering business value, delivering value to an organization. I think that's what's going to help advance this art. And I think folks, fresh students who are good at that are going to move in their careers very quickly.
Good. Morgan, what do you think?
So I come at it information science before it was integrated with library science, but I was curious, and it went a long way to making me explore things. So I'd say the library, the cataloging, the linguistics, the cognitive science, how people think about stuff is all important for the ontologist, because you're really trying to understand not only how the systems and computers work, and of course how the systems and the process works of the business, but this other that apply it, and having the ability to say, this would be a good category, this would not be a good category, this would be a good practice, this would not be a good practice. That's been really important to us as we've been sort of deluged with the business needs, as Bryon has outlined, that desire to constantly produce something, make it. Sometimes we've had to pull back a little bit and say, we're going to do it, but here's the problem that's going to happen, and here's the re-engineering that's going to happen, and we can kind of look forward. So we never want to stand in the way of that business process, and we do iterative approaches and use an agile approach to updating it, but we always set aside time for fixing sort of these problems that come up. So I think per Bryon, I would have some technology. It is nice to know that you could actually put some of the ontology to work, or that you can have some basic computer skills to manipulate large lists of words or pull data, or make sure that your text is well formulated if you're going to push it into a corpus and the like. Having those skills means you're not dependent upon a timeline that is someone else's, and it gives you some ability to explore and reaffirm some of the knowledge that you have. And so you can actually put more work into your tools. But I think solely being a technologist, the problem is that vision of, well, what does language mean? How do people think about this? You can lose that unless you can pick that up as well. I look at my career, and as I explained to my family will always say, tell us again what you do, because they understood the librarian. They don't understand information architect. They don't understand what it is I do. And I say, I work with cognition in order to understand how things work, and I develop ontologies. I might as well just be saying blah, blah, blah. So it's important to basically pull all of those things. If you're curious, if you like to research things, if you like to understand also how things are put together, it's going to go a long way towards having the skill set you're going to need for ontology.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Sean, you are right near me here in Seattle. If can't do it today, but if you could drop by my class and talk to my graduate students who are wanting to get into this space, what advice would you give them about how to balance what we were just talking about there?
Right, and I want to say thank you, Michael. We have two awesome information architects working from the information school, so thank you. Definitely great to have those resources. In terms of advice, the story of the semantic web and ontology development is kind of lived in life sciences or academic side, but it's quickly moving to organizations like Starbucks and technology. So I think that my advice would be, at least in areas that we've had to do a lot of training, would be specifically software delivery. Everything like Bryon said about the idea that ontologies are software. So we have gone a whole bit, which is, okay, so this is how software projects are organized. This is how source control works. This is how GitHub works. Here's how you check in and check out code. Here's how you build commits. Here's how we publish our code. Here's how we use generators. That goes way over the knowledge engineer's head, because they don't have that software engineering experience. And at least in our context, which is ontologies are code, that ability to be software development with ontology knowledge is really the sweet spot.
Good. Yes, and you are welcome for those outstanding graduates. We're trying to turn them out every year, smarter and smarter. And I think we are. So you're welcome. Last, we're almost out of time. Frank, you also went to the University of Washington. And
I did.
And please, final comments. I think you're probably, I don't know for sure, but you're probably the closest person we have to recently graduating, let's say within the last 10 years. What do you think? I mean, you hire people all the time. You look at folks' backgrounds and you examine them. What are you looking for? What advice would you give if you could come back to the high school right now and talk to some folks?
Well, as you know, we've hired a couple of graduates from the high school ourselves. I think the thing is a wide interdisciplinary understanding of the world is what I look for. And maybe because I'm uniquely working in media and culture, and I spent most of my career as a ontologist who works in media and a taxonomist who works in media and popular culture, but it's a broad understanding of the world. I'm not looking on your resume for specific buzzwords that you have the right, I know shackle, or I know this, or I know that. What I'm really looking for is that you have an inquisitive mind and a broad understanding of the world, and a way in when I interview, I'm looking for people who can say, I don't know, and this is how I might find out, or this is how I might research. It's really, our jobs is to actually not know the answer, it's to know how to figure out the answer. And so I spend a lot of time in looking at interviews, and when I do interviews and reading through resumes, to look for skills that show me that a person is inquisitive, can research, is curious, because I can't teach that. Like, I can teach someone to put things into JSON LD. I can't teach inquisitive, I can't teach researching, I can't teach broad enthusiasm. I can't teach those things. And so those are the things that I look for in resumes, is the things I can't teach.
Wow, that's really powerful. I like that. I'm going to use that when I get my next batch of taxonomy ontology students in the winter. We're getting ready to graduate in the spring. So thanks for that.